to stop minors and other people seeing stuff that might not do them any good. But the problem is art gets caught up in those obscenity laws quite a lot, inadvertently or deliberately. And it gives people the idea that there's something wrong with erotic art. So it's sort of, it's bad for us. And it probably isn't. So that's one of the problems. So my work has fallen foul of obscenity laws. My exhibition, so this, Great Wall of Vagina, was supposed to be exhibited in Japan, but the Tokyo police decided that it was obscene and that the organisers would be arrested if they decided to show it. So they decided not to show it quite.
Jamie, you know that that's the culture of Japan. They never show the genitals.
Yeah, well, it's all pixelated even in their pornography, you know.
Yeah. Except you saw that lovely exhibition at the British Museum.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to come to that.
Yeah.
Give me a chance.
Yeah.
So basically my work is obscene. So part of the discussion, we're going to work out whether my work is actually obscene or not. So give me a second, I'll find out where I am, because I'm all off, blah, 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 here we go. So basically I'm going to chat for a bit, probably about, I don't know, 40 minutes or something. If I start to get boring, you can gong me off. And then we'll stop and we'll have a pee break, another drink, and then we'll kind of do a Q&A, or you can just talk yourselves. You know, if you don't want to ask any questions, you can just answer some questions. So, the idea, what is obscene? So, when I was working in Kuwait, and I bought English language newspapers, and I was surprised to find that every single copy had been, all the bare flesh, i.e. women's arms and legs, had been blacked out with a marker pen individually by the censors, because all that flesh was obscene in Kuwait. At the same time, they'll show pictures in their own newspapers of recent suicide bombings, and there's body parts everywhere. So they have very different ideas about what is obscene and what is okay to be seen. And so it's a cultural matter, basically. So it's cultural, social, political. In America, they have something called the Miller test, or also known, I think quite hilariously, as the three-pronged obscenity test. So, and basically, for something to be obscene, it has to, all three parts of this test have to apply. So, this is it. Whether the average person applying contemporary community standards would find that the work taken as a whole appeals to the prurient interest. So that would have to be true. Whether the work depicts or describes in a patently offensive way sexual conduct specifically defined by applicable state law. Well, that's going to be difficult to fall foul of, because there aren't many laws actually. And then whether the work taken as a whole lacks serious literary, artistic, political or scientific value. It'd be very difficult for anything to basically apply all those three things to, because they're mostly points you can't argue. So it kind of means that everything in America is obscene and nothing. And so they have real problems, but they've tried at least to define it. So, right, here we go. So the oldest subject in art is the nude and animals. And these days, the nude and animals are the things that sell best. So we haven't really changed very much. We like nude people and we like animals. And here's a contemporary version of her. So let's bring it right up to date. So 26,000 years old, and she's aged well, basically. So this is people. This is what we do with our cultures. We take iconic things and muck around with them. And that's how. What artists do. Of course, genitals are kind of iconic, and so are naked people. So basically, people have been making erotic images for a long time. So this is the Romans having a go, the Greeks. There's a bit of a theme developed here, actually. Mostly it's blokes doing things to scantily clad women, and guess what? That hasn't changed at all, has it? I mean, if the Indians or the Greeks or the Romans had had cameras, they'd have made pornographic films. They just didn't, so they had to draw it. So that's the only difference. This is India again, obviously. Actually, it's easier if I just do that. So this is Ireland. This is sort of contemporary with the last image. So you can tell that the stone carving wasn't quite up to scratch compared to the counterparts overseas. But this is really sort of more about fertility and the smash up of pagan and Christian values. And so these are symbols that you find on the Christian churches in Ireland. I don't think it's trying to be pornographic. I mean, if this is the thing about, questionable imagery, it doesn't necessarily mean it's trying to be pornographic at all. So I'm just jumping forward a few centuries, because we've got a lot of time. So sort of 16th century France, It's just hilarious, isn't it? I really, really love that. And moving forward a little bit further, this is quite funny. So this, do you remember Monty Python? So this is the foot. The one that comes down and goes, there it is, that's where they got it from. So it's worth coming, wasn't it? I kind of forgot what I'm trying to say, basically. So, sorry if I get a bit muddled, but it's going to be fun. There's going to be lots of nudity. So this is Matisse. Now, you know, the reason why we like making pictures of naked people is because they are nice to look at. They're nice shapes, you know, they're beautiful, curvy shapes. We're designed to find these things interesting and attractive. And nobody can really accuse Matisse of being obscene or pornographic, but, you know, culturally, I'm sure he could fall foul of various laws. Oops, and this is someone called Armand. Now, this, you know, is vaguely even a naked person. But I think there's something incredibly erotic about this idea of sort of being stroked, you know, from the inside. I mean, I think it's actually a really erotic image that would be really hard to fall foul of any censorship laws. So what I'm basically doing, I'm not really going to show lots of pictures of pornography, and I'm not going to show lots of pictures of, you know, art that isn't pornographic. What I'm going to try to do is show things that, a lot of things that are kind of slightly on the edge, because we all know what porn looks like, so it's not really necessary. So, Courbet's Origin du Monde, the origin of the world. Now this was really shocking at the time. Obviously the focus is very much on the genitals here, and people found this a bit extreme. Now, apparently she had a head. Which he didn't like, so he chopped it off. So he wasn't really concentrating on the genitals at all, but he didn't want to waste a perfectly good picture. And so, I don't know if this is true, but there's a scholar who says he's found the missing head of Courbet's Origin. Who knows? It's a good. I like the idea, basically. So this is one of those images, because it's iconic, and because it's one of the first kind of, whoa, here's a vagina, get over it. It's been copied a lot by lots of different artists, all kind of putting their own. I'm in your way, aren't I?
Yeah, you are. Sorry. You need an automatic.
I need to be really sure. I know I need a thingy bob. Maybe there's. Can I? What can I put it on? I don't want to be in your way all the time. What if I go over here? How can I go over here? Oh, I can't do that. Oh, shit sticks.
You just have to be in
I'll just get out of here. I'll just press it button. All right. So basically, various artists putting their own slant on this image. You know, it's because it's so iconic. Kind of like I say, we take these iconic images and we kind of reproduce them. You know, I mean, God, you know, it just goes on. Blokes are kind of looking. That's nice. More blokes. And it's even become a cushion colour. So it just kind of shows that what used to be shocking is now mainstream culture. It's not actually that shocking at all. Okay, so Leonardo da Vinci. Just hope I haven't missed anything. Probably not. Okay, so if anybody managed to find this erotic, I would be quite concerned. But you'd be amazed what people find erotic. It doesn't really matter, I guess, is the point. You know, people can just get off on what they like. You know, if someone wants to get off on my work, even though that isn't the intention, who cares? I mean, it's not doing anyone harm, really. But the intention, obviously, is right. This is educational, this is medical, this is Leonardo da Vinci trying to work out how things work. So, you know, and just like the Great Wall of Vagina, it's intended to be educational. Now, some people probably get off on that, but how? I'm not sure. Okay, Picasso, having a go at the same sort of subject matter. Again, I think quite difficult to find a turn on. You know, I mean, this is, but some people might. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's possible. And this is Picasso basically saying, "All right, I'm going to make dirty pictures," and he made lots and lots of these. And then here he is having a good old look, getting a bit more cubist, and then, you know, I don't even know what's going on here. It looks like fun. I'd like to be in there, probably. But I like this idea that there's this sort of, and I'm going to try and show a little bit later, there's this, the degree of realism with which these images are portrayed seems to have affect our opinion about whether this is pornographic.